I love this segment. It's Harvey's Hot Takes with our friend Bryan Hayes. Every week, Bryan serves up hot takes as hot and spicy and delicious as Harvey's original burger. There it is going across the screen, 2 for $8 right now. Bryan, things are not going great for the Pittsburgh Penguins, as we know. They've lost 4 of 5, including a loss to the Coyotes on Monday. They are 7th in the Metro. Now, Sidney Crosby is practically a Hart candidate again. Not practically, he is tied for 7th goals with 27. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, not at the end of this season, but at the end of next season. Is it time right now, Jake Guentzel about to be an unrestricted free agent, is it time for Kyle Dubas to just blow this thing up?
Absolutely, Jay. I am pleading, and I want to thank you. I want to thank your staff. I want to thank Harvey's for giving me this opportunity. Get Sidney Crosby out of Pittsburgh. Follow in the footsteps of Tom Brady. He's into his 19th season down there in Pittsburgh. He will always be remembered as a Penguin. It's him and Mario Lemieux, the 2 greatest Penguins of all time. He's given everything he possibly could to that franchise. That franchise is no longer repaying him, and I know he's loyal. I know he's still playing with Gino and Letang, and they've obviously got Carlson there, and you mentioned Guentzel and others, but he's still one of the 10 or 12 best players in the world. You referenced it, Jay. He's still on pace for 50 goals. He's only done that once in his career. He hasn't done that in 14 years. This guy is in the top 10. He's top 10 for the Hart right now. Again, like I said, top 10 player in the world. I think he's got 3 or 4 years left in his career, and I want to see him chase Stanley Cups. I believe he's already a locked top 10 player of all time. I think he can make a solid case for being top 5, and I think if he follows in the footsteps of Brady, goes somewhere else, wins a cup, is competitive, playing on a relative teams in terms of playoff performances, that is going to make the case for him to get into the top 5 all time. Maybe he's a Mount Rushmore guy. Maybe he's one of the top 4. And I'd love to see it. I hate the idea of him just fading away the rest of his career on a team in Pittsburgh that is not competitive this year. They weren't competitive last year. I don't think they're going to be competitive anytime soon. We know what Ovechkin's doing down in Washington, right? Ovi's chasing Gretzky. That's it. Sid should be chasing cups. I want to see him out. So I'm pleading to Sidney Crosby to either ask to be out or Kyle Dubas, take one for the team and address it yourself. And I'm going to give you one spot, Jay. And Leaf fans, earmuffs. Canadians fans, earmuffs. The Boston Bruins.
Whoa.
The Boston Bruins. They need a number 1 center. I'm not starting a rumor. Obviously, I don't know if the Bruins or the Penguins can pull this off. But that's the kind of market I'm talking about. That's the kind of relevant team, playoff performing team. Sidney Crosby, he deserves better. I don't want to see him just fade in Pitt. Get him out of there. Get somewhere else.
I love that fit in Boston, and I love the idea of Jack Edwards also extending his career as their play-by-play announcer just so he can call games with Sid in a Bees uniform. But I digress, Bryan. Utah Jazz owner Ryan Smith, not the Ryan Smith Captain Canada, different Ryan Smith, put out a statement on Wednesday formally requesting to initiate the expansion process and bring a team to Utah. We've heard about Ryan Smith's interest in bringing a team to Utah, to Salt Lake City. But my overall question for you, Bryan, is how are you feeling about the idea that we add more teams to the National Hockey League?
I absolutely hate the idea, Jay. I hate the idea of adding more teams. We don't need more expansion in the NHL. 32 is already too much. Have you watched the San Jose Sharks play recently? Have you seen the Chicago Blackhawks without Connor Bedard? It's already a watered-down product. The idea of going to 33 teams or 34 teams, I think it's really going to highlight how watered down the product is. And I understand why the owners would be intrigued by this. It's greedy. I think it's short-sighted. They're going to get massive expansion money. It's a gate-driven league, and what will happen is in Salt Lake City, wherever else they happen to go, Atlanta, Houston, whatever in the future, they're going to sell a boatload of tickets. And the way they've set up the expansion process means those teams are likely going to be very, very good. At some point, though, these markets are going to get challenged. Vegas included, Seattle included. At some point, they're going to be bad teams. They're going to get challenged. And another part that I don't like about this is there's a lot of long-standing fans, loyal hockey fans in great hockey markets like the 7 Canadian markets up here. None of the Canadian teams have won in 30 years. Right? The Rangers haven't won in 30 years. The Flyers haven't won in forever. The Islanders haven't won in forever. These are great hockey markets. And now the probability of actually seeing your team win is going to get worse, right? And again, a team like Salt Lake is going to show up and maybe do what Vegas has done and just start winning cups or compete for cups. I really don't like the idea. I think it'll be a very watered-down product. I think I'm fighting a losing battle. It feels like it's moving in that direction. But I think I speak for most hockey fans. Do not want to see it. We don't need it in the NHL.
And maybe, Gary, take care of business in Arizona with the Arizona State Coyotes and find a proper-sized arena before we start adding more teams to the league. Wouldn't you say, Brian?
Yeah, I would say the Arizona State University Coyotes are probably should be number one issue at this point, right? Maybe get them in an arena that, I don't know, holds 10,000 seats, 15, 20 at some point. You know, we've been through that dance so many times. They're so committed to that market. And I'm with you, Jay. Like, do what they just did in baseball, right? They wanted to get to Vegas. They moved the Athletics. It sucks for Oakland, obviously, but they didn't expand. They said, we're going to move a losing product, and we're going to move it to Vegas. Do the same thing with Arizona if you want to be in Salt Lake City so badly.
There it is. Move Arizona to Salt Lake City. They've already got an arena. You know, just like Harvey's serving up delicious burgers for 65 years to Canadians, Bryan Hayes has been serving up hot takes since 1983 when he was born here in Toronto. Bryan Hayes, you're the best. We'll talk to you next week, buddy.
You got it, Jay.
Hot Takes is brought to you by Harvey's. Flame grilled burgers topped your way.